North Korea has just delivered on its latest threat to set off a third nuclear test blast. A magnitude 5.1 seismic disturbance was recorded just a few hours ago near the Communist North's secretive test site. And North Korea has just confirmed it was indeed a nuclear test. South Korea's call for an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council has already been answered. A council diplomat tells CNN that meeting will be held 8 hours from now.
North Korea has confirmed it has successfully conducted a third nuclear test in defiance of international warnings. Pyongyang says it used a miniaturized device that had a greater explosive force than previous tests. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon has condemned it as deplorable, and an emergency meeting of the Security Council is to be held later. In January, the North announced it planned to conduct a high-level nuclear test in response to expanded UN sanctions imposed after its last long-range missile test in 2012.
The US Geological Survey says that it measured a magnitude 4.9 quake that's more powerful than the test back in 2009. Here's how North Korean state television announced the news.
On the national defense and scientific front, a third underground nuclear test was successfully conducted in the Northern Underground Nuclear Test Site on the 12th of February 2013. The nuclear test was conducted as part of our practical measures in order to respond to atrocious hostile activities by the US, which violated the DPRK's legal right to launch a satellite for peaceful purposes and to protect the country's security and sovereignty.
Experts with Japan's meteorological agency reported an artificial tremor of magnitude 5.2. They say it happened at 11:57 a.m. local time, close to Punggye-ri in the northeast. The North Koreans carried out 2 nuclear tests there before in 2006 and 2009. South Korean defense officials are almost sure the tremor was a test.
We presume North Korea carried out its third nuclear test. We're analyzing the situation and are raising our military alert level to prepare for any possibility.
The Defense Ministry officials say they're preparing for the possibility of another nuclear test or a missile launch.
It was near this remote nuclear testing site in North Korea that the earthquake occurred. North Korea is not prone to seismic activity, so the tremor rang alarm bells in Seoul. South Korean television reported the quake and speculation that the real cause was the North's much-anticipated third nuclear test. 2 previous tests were conducted in 2006 and 2009. Japan's Prime Minister cut short a meeting when he learned of the tremor.
We are considering taking independent sanctions towards North Korea. In addition, we'll make use of all possible measures to solve the situation. I also instructed all to prepare for the unforeseen and also to ensure the utmost safety of our people.
Satellites had been directly pointed at a facility in Punggye-ri for days, anticipating a possible nuclear test. In January, the United Nations expanded sanctions on North Korea, and Washington accused Pyongyang of needless provocation after it said it would carry out the tests anyway. Officials say the site is roughly congruent to where North Korea held underground nuclear blasts in 2006 and 2009. Those tests were plutonium-based, but U.S. intelligence thinks Pyongyang is seeking to develop uranium-based weapons. A sophisticated step since uranium is easier to hide since it does not require a reactor and could discreetly be shipped abroad to states such as Syria or Iran.
Reports that came in from the US Geological Survey, who are usually there to monitor earthquakes, that the site you could see on your map there, they had monitored some seismic activity. Pretty quickly we heard confirmation from South Korea, from Japan, from China and from others as well that this was indeed likely to be a nuclear test, and in the last few minutes North Korea has finally confirmed that it was indeed a nuclear test. Particularly worrying because because, of course, they have this technology to be able to put rockets into space. The concern, of course, is that if North Korea is going to marry the two technologies, its space program, its rocket program, you can see here that surprisingly successful rocket launch, if they can marry that program with some sort of a nuclear program, it is a particularly big threat. That's why the international community will have to do something.